Well, I would say, well, close to 100% of first timers have coaches.
Yeah,
There's very few people that embark on this journey now and self-coach.
yeah.
So they're going to coaches. So there's also less responsibility with that
Hmm.
because you're literally what you're doing and investing in a coach is the
Yeah,
ability just to sort of set the cards down and let them deal them for you.
yeah,
And so it's not as much directed at the client, more the likes of the coach. Just make sure we've all coached clients where we've missed the mark with them. They've been a little bit off. They've not been completely peaked perfectly. We've all done it. All great coaches have done it. But whenever you have a client that's still, 12 to 20 pounds above what their stage weight should be,
yeah.
I think and I understand people saying about but that you don't know that athlete's
The
background, and maybe
journey and all that. Yeah, yeah,
they just wanted to tick a box, and I was like going, but why not just wait for another, 4 months to tick the box, do a later show,
yeah,
get more time, make sure that I think as a coach, it's our job to make sure that those people are having as safe as possible and healthy as possible journey to the stage,
yeah, yeah.
but also put them in a position where they can really sincerely enjoy the process of being on stage and presenting their physique. And you don't need to be Mr. Olympia level to walk on stage and have a great time. But if you're
Yeah.
at least conditioned, like Vix that I coached, we know that there's a long-term project there for her to, to become
Yeah, yeah,
better.
yeah, for
But
sure.
in terms of her condition, and definitely being able to sort of load her a little bit more on Sunday, we were both exceptionally happy with the look because that condition with a bit more muscle in a year's time would be a very, very highly
Yeah,
competitive
for
physique.
sure. What I'm getting from this undertone of all this, James, is that you're a little bit embarrassed for the competitor on that stage because you're thinking that competitor probably shouldn't have been put in that position to
Yeah,
do that show because at the end of the day, I know it's your journey and you don't know the context, so it's still a bodybuilding show.
yeah,
Still a bodybuilding show. And as hardcore as bodybuilding fans are and everything like that, and accepting as we are, sometimes we're like, no, that's not what we want to see here. Because we're muscle show
it's
fans. So
yeah,
don't take the piss.
it's for me. It's too much. There has to be like I'm not saying that every female needs to be sub
Yeah,
8% body fat.
sure.
Um, but if a female's still there in the mid to high teens body fat, it's probably not going to be a great look. Like I'm talking high, yeah, definitely high teens, maybe even embarking on 20% body
Yeah,
fat
you're
and
just
walking
like
on
in the
stage.
sauna. You would just see them at the
Yeah.
swimming pool.
But the thing is, I said, Dave, and it's not me being critical of the athlete, but I'm like going,
Mhm.
if they have a coach, then the coach needs to say, look, could we maybe put this back? Could we kick the can down
Yeah,
the road and maybe do a show in September? I think we'll both be more happy. We can collect more data. We can, whatever it is. The stage will always wait. It'll always be there for you to set that back and bring something to the stage that you feel is a really good starting point for you.
do you know?
So for me, that was probably the main thing that I seen, and I've seen it at some of the shows this season already.
Do you know? I emceed the NABA Northwest, and they did a transformation class, right? And it was amazing, James. It was
Mm,
actually amazing. They did it really well. They put up a real 60 seconds or 90 seconds, whatever it was, played it for the audience. The person came out, did a little flex, stood at the side of the stage, and then that was it. And then another 9 people came out, men, and then they did the same for the female. And these people had lost like 5 stone to come back from addiction, like fought cancer. And it, it was what it was. It was a transformation class, and everybody accepted that these people are not necessarily going to be top end bodybuilders. So they're
yeah,
going to be, some of them are going to have that 20% body fat, but they put the work in. It was genuinely inspiring. I was like, and the thing was, and it's cliche, we had to pick a winner, but they were all winners.
Yeah.
I was inspired. It was amazing. So when it sounds to me that with that example that you're giving, there was maybe a better show for that person to do, a better place for them to showcase their hard work. Because like you got to take this stuff seriously because we're still a bodybuilder. It's still a bodybuilding show
Well,
at the end of the day.
if you sort of think it like this, female bodybuilding in particular is expensive.
Yeah,
A cheap competitive bikini suit, 300 quid probably.
yeah,
A really really good one, five 600, maybe up towards 700. Then the shoes, then your
yeah.
tan, hair, makeup, jewelry, all the bling,
Hmm.
your entry to the show, membership, the travel. So just even for that day or that
Plus
weekend,
a grand. Easy.
way over a grand. Way over a grand. You're probably talking 15, 1600 quid, and you're gonna walk on stage at 20% body fat. And I think like, for me, it's like the stage might be the right place for you. I'd actually give feedback to a girl. I wasn't even judging a show. It was a couple of years back, and she'd come up and she knew that I had judged other shows, and she'd asked me what I thought. And I actually said, "Can I be completely honest? You have an incredible structure, and you actually have loads of potential in the sport, but your condition is so far off." Now, if you came back and I gave her a number, 'cause sometimes that's all somebody needs, is look, if you pull off 10, 11 kilo off that frame and hold on to the muscle that you have, that would be a really good look. But that's going to, for you to make that, that's another 10, 12 weeks of dieting. So that gives you the time frame then
Yeah,
is to
yeah.
actually, how long it took you to get ready for that show. You need to pack on another 8 to 10 weeks before that. So you have that time to walk on stage at the right composition. And she came back last year. She actually then did a show that I judged and looked like a different animal. I think
Yeah.
she placed second as well. She looked absolutely fantastic, and had reached out and thanked me for the sort of feedback and
Amazing.
whatever else.
Amazing.
So, because that can be harsh. She's walked on stage, she didn't get the result. She was disappointed. And whenever I had said to her, like, whenever I said how much weight that I thought she had to lose, you could see her like eyes widen, like, what?
Yeah, she's never
And
been told the truth before, probably.
and that's the thing, but I had said to her, you actually do have potential. Your bone structure, there's enough muscle there, but if you dieted enough to show that off, you could actually be really dangerous on this stage. But don't do yourself an injustice and do, go to a stage and not bring what your potential is. And this is bodybuilding is this in the sport. It's not about everybody walking on stage perfect. It is about if I look at somebody in January and they come to me for coaching and I'll assess the physique, I'm visualizing what is their X with what they currently have right now. What is the best I could make them look to walk on stage? And that's the reality of that. Whereas if you you're just simply trying to push somebody and not have that sort of visual as to what their potential actually is, then you're most likely going to miss the mark walking on stage.
Ah, that's nice, actually. I like that you've got the visualization of what that person looks like the sculptor, when they chisel off that fat, what the physique looks like. So you've got in mind ahead of time,
That's
visualizing.
right.
Yeah, that's really nice. I like the metaphor, James. That's
Yeah.
really, really nice. Still on this point, because I think this is nice, right? The other thing you're saying about this underlying embarrassment that you're probably detecting, or I was detecting, is I think there's a lot of, we're seeing first timers, right? I think there's a lot of what I would describe as exploitative coaching. So you're saying
Hmm.
£1,500 invested in something. So I spotted this, and I mean you've probably seen this as well. Coaches which will put people in for shows, but they'll not put them in for other shows because it's good for the coach's reputation. But if they do those shows, despite the fact that other shows would be better suited for that particular individual. Like this year, I had a friend of mine's natural athlete did all these shows. I was like, why didn't you do any of the natural shows? They're like, we didn't really know about them. Right.
Hmm.
So you've got that going on for a start. I was like, why don't you do the shows which were on your doorstep? Obviously, because my coach said to go and do these ones. I was like, but they're like, you had to stay in a hotel, stay
Yeah.
overnight. go somewhere, travel, get your tan up. But if you've done these ones which are local to you, then you like you could stay in your own bed, not at the
Yeah.
expense, going to get your tan. Like, and I see this happening all the time. Like I really, really do. And I'm like, what's going on? Well, I know what's going on there. It's the
Yeah.
coach treating someone like a piece of meat rather than actually treating them with respect and like an athlete. And again, I had a conversation with a guy this week who wanted me to help him with posing coaching, and I'm going to help him do it, right? And it's like, oh, I want to do natural shows, and I was like, well, you could do this one, this one, this one, and this one. He's like, oh, I didn't know about them. I'm like, well,
Mm.
how do you not know about them? Why
Yeah.
don't you know about them, right? Because I'm like, look, it's my job. I can just these are the options. You pick the ones you want to do, but these are the ones you could do, and there's pros and
Yeah.
cons to these little ones. And so that's a thing to sort of just throw up into the ether. But the other thing is that thing you said about responsibility and the responsibility being pushed onto the coach a little bit from the athlete. So the athlete doesn't know that they're not in shape, like you're saying. They don't know that these other shows exist. But my friend Kevin, who competed at the PCA, he was saying that it was just run differently from the WMBF show that he had done previously as well in terms of the admin and the information that's put out there and everything like that. And I had to sort of tell him, I was like, look, you've come from like a professional sports background like tennis.
Yeah.
Like, very, very different. Don't expect every organization to be run exactly smoothly the same way. Don't expect all the information to be delivered in exactly the same way. And in some cases, you're going to have to go out and seek the information. And actually, you need to take responsibility for yourself for this because just another example, some shows have got people backstage, which will be going around with clipboards telling you which classes are on and which classes are not on, and they'll have running orders posted up, and it'll be very efficient, and they'll be running orders on Instagram and stuff like that, and others don't.
Yeah.
And it's on you to know when to go and get your glaze because you're dealing with a different tanning company. From the last one, they'll tell you to do the base coat differently. Someone will say nothing about that. Someone will be cash only, and you're turned up, and you're like, how do I pay for it? Like, it's not always the same thing. And if you're coming from like a professional background like him, he's a banker working in the
Yeah.
city. He's like got his
Mm.
expectations here. So again, another client, I've got a young guy, he's 19. And I'm like, look, Reese, like this is how it is. You need to go and check this out, have a look. When you book your hotel room and stuff like that, that's on you, buddy. But I would book it as quick as you can because it might get booked up. Like you can't leave these things to lie. So the athlete needs to take some responsibility as well as I guess as what I'm saying. But I always try and get my guys to think on their feet as much as possible and give them the tools so they can manage themselves so that if any situations arise that they know what they can do rather than they have to be quickly on the phone to phone me about something. Because like I've
Yeah.
given you the information, so you've got the tools. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know if there was a question in there, James, or I was just sort of maybe making a comment on anything. Or is that jive with your experience?
Yeah, I think that's it. One of the things you said about exploitation in coaching.
Yeah,
Um, so what we've seen historically is, and there's like an insecurity, I think, with particularly newer coaches or less experienced
yeah,
coaches,
hmm
or coaches that are hungry, meaning they don't have enough clients on their books so far. And there's always a desperation in the hungry lion. Do you know what I mean? Like you can see in how it moves and the its actions based on that sensation. So it's the same whenever I see people, they're they want their clients to do photo shoots because they know, and it's they know that if they get them to the photo shoot and they look good, then there's promotion, which is great for their social media. But
yeah,
most of the time, the main drive and reason why a PT in the early stages with a client will say about why don't we do a photo shoot is he knows or she knows that they will have that client at least locked in for that period of time until
yeah,
the photo shoot.
yeah,
And the same thing happens whenever coaches are making clients compete in bodybuilding before they're ready
yeah,
because they're like going, right, well, if I convince them I think you should compete and there's shows in September and it's a January, then you know that you're going to have 9 months of at least coaching that client.
yeah, yeah,
So getting them fish hooked reeled in is going to maintain at least some client retention through that phase. Because the people become like the clients become dependent on the coach for that guidance because they know what the end product is going to be vulnerable. They're going to walk on stage. So I need that guidance. Whereas if they're just a general gym user and they're not signed up to do a photo shoot, they're not signed up to do a a show, they are flight risks. So that coach or PT could end up losing that client in 2 weeks, never mind 9 months.
I 100% agree with that. Yeah, you're totally you're totally
Yeah,
right. I see yeah, there was this mini cut craze going around for a long time. I was like, you realize that when you cut, you don't build. So
yeah,
just putting in a mini cut just for the sake of doing a cut, all you're doing is that's just a client retention strategy for sure. I mean that there are there is value in doing one if someone is going to do a bodybuilding show and they've never done a cut before. There's a learning
yeah,
curve there, right? And there's value in that.
yeah,
But just doing it for the sake of doing it and lying to someone about it's the same with like bulking phases and things like this. It's like it's a lock-in technique. And if people were more honest, it'd be like you don't really you shouldn't really be doing bulking because of all the things we've discussed in the past. What we
yeah,
really need to be doing is try to refine your physique and make it better with the show in mind in 12 months' time or whenever it's going to be. But if there's a clearly defined bulking phase and then cutting phase and then gaining phase, I mean, then yeah, they're getting locked in from there.